Good morning. So for this video, we're going to be talking about your stuff, and pretty much it's going to be deciding what to keep when you're moving internationally. If you are familiar with the George Carlin skit about your stuff, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. We are collectors. We always like to keep and collect. It could be something that's more personal related, something about your past, something you're passionate about. It could just be some different collectibles, novelty items, just different things that you enjoy having around. If you're at home right now, just go ahead and think about every room, every closet, every cabinet, your basement, your attic, your garage. You've probably got all kinds of stuff all over the place. And when you're going to be moving internationally, due to logistics and everything, which we'll talk about more in a shipping video, trying to keep everything you have and ship it overseas, it's not going to be a good choice. There's just a lot of things you're going to have to learn to get rid of. So this is that time you're going to have to let go. So what you need to do is you need to start thinking about all the stuff that you have, making a list, starting from the top and working your way down. Obviously, the priorities are going to be things you absolutely cannot live without. Things that you have that are necessary for your survival, your lifestyle, whatever, that you cannot see living without, basically. Obviously, if you have medical conditions, you have devices or equipment, you need to think about how you might be able to keep that and bring it, ship it, whatever. So, good example, you have sleep apnea, you got a CPAP machine, you're wanting to bring that, ship it, whatever. That's a good example of something you're going to be keeping. You're probably going to have some kind of collectibles. Most of us have this stuff. It might be a collection of hats that are, sitting across a shelf somewhere from favorite sports teams or something like that. If you have a couple dozen family photos all hanging over all the walls. Now, something like family photos, the photos themselves, you can take them out, have them scanned so they're backed up digitally, and then the photos, put them inside of some kind of sleeves or a binder or a photo album, something. That way you can still keep those photos, bring them over here. But the frames, the glass, you're going to have to get rid of it. You can always reframe when you get here, but trying to ship big frames with glass, it's just not a good idea. But you're going to have to look at a lot of that stuff and really start figuring out things that you don't need anymore. It's time to sell it, give it away to your friends, to your family members, donate it to somewhere. Some things, maybe it might be to the point where it just has to go in the trash. This is a very emotional time because you're really having to look at things that you have a connection to, that you're so used to having around, and now you're going to have to get rid of it. You're also going to want to look at things that you have that you could live without it, but you really don't want to. You really like that item. It definitely improves the comfort, the convenience. Certain items like that, you need to think about, okay, if I get rid of it, can I reacquire it in the Philippines? Is it something that I can find easily and it's within a reasonable cost? And a lot of things here are not going to be up to the quality standards that most of us from the West are used to. There are certain items that I personally realized that I should have brought with me. At the time, I wasn't thinking about it. I thought it would be easy to pick up new ones. And when I got here, I'm finding it is not that easy to find them. And when you do, they're so ridiculously overpriced that it's like, it's not really worth paying that price for it in some cases. Or a few items, because I needed it so badly, I might end up having to pay quite a bit more for these items to reacquire them. This is just one example. So back in the States, I had Calphalon. It's a pretty decent non-stick cookware. I went to Walmart and 6-7 years ago, I bought a big box set. I'll try and put an image on the screen of this set, but it's like 3 different size pots and pans and a couple skillets, had some lids. Wasn't a big set, but it was a decent set. It was about $300 for the set, like $299 and some change, so $300. When you think about it, you break it down, that's almost $50 per each pot, pan, skillet, whatever, but it's very good quality. This is stuff that we've used for decades. It's always been great. I really liked that set. I wanted to keep it, but just the logistics part of taking all these pots and pans, having to wrap them up, especially the lids, you use cardboard and bubble wrap so that you make sure they don't get broken, dented, scratched, whatever on the shipment over here. It just seemed like a lot of hassle. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, when I get over here, I can go to the big malls in Manila, and there's going to be all these different stores that you can go to. Some of these stores are going to be like a Macy's or whatever. They're going to have Calphalon. I mean, come on. And when I got here, just going around some of the big malls, the big stores in these big malls, Metro Manila, where you would expect to find these, I couldn't find any. Not a single Calphalon item. People there didn't know what I was talking about. Like I'm speaking Chinese or something to them. They had no clue what it was. I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck. I look online, and I looked on Lazada, which is similar to like the Amazon of the Philippines. I'll be talking about that in the shopping video. But essentially, I found one place selling these. They are importing them from the US to here. The set that cost me $300, brand new, like 7 years ago, that same set here is going for 27 to 28,000 pesos, which is, with shipping, it ends up being over $600. So literally double the price. That's the only way I'm going to get it that way. The only other option is I send the money to my family, have my family go back to Walmart or wherever and buy the same set, and then try to ship it to me, a cheaper shipping option, such as the same way you would ship your boxes by ship instead of by air. So instead of it getting here in like 2 weeks, it'll take 2 months. But I could have it shipped for maybe $50, well, probably even less than that. So for like $3.50, I could get that item. But it's one of those items where really what you want to do is you want to look around at things you would really like to have, and before you just assume, I'll be able to get a replacement, you want to do some research. Look up different stores that are online here, things that would be easy to ship. We're not talking about, do I keep my refrigerator? Obviously, the voltage, even if you have the same voltage, if the country you're coming from has the same voltage, it's a refrigerator. You're not going to ship a refrigerator, okay? I'm talking smaller stuff, but if you have something that you're really wanting to reacquire here, look it up online, see if it's available, see what kind of pricing options there are. If you need to get a hold of your contacts, go on forums, Facebook Messenger, talk to different people and just say, hey, I'm going to send you a picture of an item. Are you able to just kind of give me a rough idea of, is this thing available? How much would it cost? Things like that. You're going to find that there are certain items that you just can't find here. Things that you probably should stock up on. Another example would be, for me personally, just out of my own choice, the shower gel that I use is Giorgio Armani. So when I get my Armani cologne, I also would normally go and you get the same scent, but it's going to be in a deodorant, like a gel deodorant. And then they have a big bottle of, it's like I think a 1 liter bottle of shower gel. So you get your little loofah thing and that's your shower gel instead of using like Irish Spring soap or something. Smells great, smells the same as my cologne. It was a little bit expensive. But it's one of those things where like, they've got to sell Armani here. I've seen it before when I've been here. But when I got here, I realized that body wash, they don't have. The only way I'm going to be able to get that is ordering on eBay and having it shipped from the US. $70 for the bottle, $50 for the shipping. So that same item that I got maybe for $50 during a Christmas sale, it's going to cost me about $70. But then $50 to ship. If I would have just gone and bought one or two of them before I left and just shipped them over, put them in a box, or even brought it in my luggage, I would have saved quite a bit of money that way. Other things that are hard to find here can be things like certain type of razors. If you shave and you've got disposable razors, replacement blades, the replacement blades themselves might be very difficult to find here. There's still plenty of other quality shaving supplies that you can find, but if you really, really like the one you currently have, the best option is go and stock up on a bunch of refills. But you need to go through and just look at all of your stuff and figure out, what do I really want to have shipped over? What do I need to get rid of? For me personally, serving in the military, I had a lot of military collectibles. Most of those items were actually from my time in service. So, you know, I served during the late 90s. We had woodland camo pattern, not the crappy stuff that the Army had most recently. So all my gear was still woodland camo. I could use it when I went out hiking, camping, whatever. It was just stuff that it had a personal connection to me, but it was also functional. And a lot of that I just had on display. But I also had other things that were from other periods of military service, things that weren't mine, but they were similar, related to my branch of service, my job, etc. I had to look at all that stuff, even the things that had a very deep personal connection to me and my time in service, and I just had to really think, is this something that I'm going to be bringing over with me? You know, certain items, they're restricted. They're not even allowed to leave the country. Obviously, I get rid of those, but my fiance, she's not into the whole Army stuff. So for me to decorate the walls of our house with different Army memorabilia, not really her thing. I'm not going to be putting up like a display case cabinet with all this stuff. So, I mean, there's just so much that I had that I realized that I like this stuff. I like to have it, but I mean, it's been sitting in a closet or in a box or on a shelf. I don't need it. The hassle of having to secure it and ship it, it's time to let go of this stuff. You know, it's been nice having it, but I don't need it anymore. It's time to let go. So you're going to have to go through and you're going to have to do that. You're going to find a lot of items. You know, you might go through one of your closets, see a box buried in there with an inch of dust on it. You haven't opened in 12 years. And you'll go through it and, oh, wow, look, there's this. Oh, I can't believe I still got this, right? You're going to be finding all this stuff. Oh, it's cool. Yeah, I remember this. It's good to have those things for that kind of memory and nostalgia, whatever. But that's something that's been sitting in a fucking box for 12 years. You didn't even know you had it. Do you really need it? Obviously you don't. That's one of those times where you've got to start thinking about getting rid of this stuff. It all is going to come down to the logistics and the cost and everything of having to ship it. If you've got a lot of money and you've got more than enough money to just basically pack literally your whole house into containers and ship them over, go ahead. That's up to you. That's your choice. But if you're limited on budget, limited on space, or you don't want to clutter up a house here, now's that time you're going to go through. You're going to start breaking it down to just what you don't need anymore. Hopefully this has been helpful information. I know it's going to be a very difficult decision to go through and have to actually decide, keep it, toss it, give it away, but you're going to have to do it. So hopefully this has been useful information. Thanks.